I've been able to reduce my biological age every year since 2014. I've been doing contrast therapy since the 90s. I believe these are two contributors to that. I like to start with the sauna and then immediately go to the cold plunge. I'd usually like do 15 to 20 minutes sauna, 2 to 3 minutes cold plunge, and repeat that like 3 times. So it can help, reduce the muscle soreness, speed up recovery, help with reducing inflammation. And, one of the major benefits that I like from it is the emotional stability and blood sugar stability. Hello, everybody. Chris Gethin here. Welcome to the Chris Gethin podcast. And we are here at our beautiful apartment in beautiful Tulum. That's where I'm recording this podcast today. So behind me, right behind here on my veranda, I've got myself a plunge. So I thought this is the perfect backdrop to talk about this, even though I've been using a sauna and cold plunge at Tulum Jungle Gym as well. I feel like I'm sat in a sauna at the moment, so I'm going to jump in there straight after. I have made some notes here. I want to just go through everything in regards to sauna versus cold plunge, because look, it's been a trending topic for quite a number of years, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. I've been doing saunas or let's call it contrast therapy since the 90s. I actually went to college and studied about this as part of my international health and sports therapy course. So I know about the benefits of its use for blood shunting and, growth hormone secretion. We'll go into it in the podcast, okay? For those of you that are viewing, obviously you can see where I am in beautiful Tulum. I have made some notes here. For those of you listening, thank you very much. I will make this as informational for you as possible. And of course, please do let me know if you have any questions further from this. Happy to answer them. So, sauna versus cold plunge. These are two popular recovery techniques and are getting a lot of attention for their benefits in fat loss, muscle recovery, overall health span, all-cause mortality, emotional stability, the list goes on. But from a recovery and a performance perspective, it is very, very important. If we are dealing with a lot of inflammation, we can help knock that out. If we are dealing with a lot of toxicity, we can help knock that out. But, the goal for this episode is to break down the benefits and provide, optimal protocols for you and talk about some common mistakes. But what are saunas and cold plunges and why do they matter? Well, the sauna, basically, you're in a hot environment. I think you know that. The body is exposed to high temperatures, causing an increased heart rate and sweating, which mimics the effects of exercise. I don't know if you've ever done a sauna and then measured your calorie burn. You can actually burn off quite a lot of calories. And it's been shown to improve cardiovascular health and increase blood flow to the muscles, to the brain, helping your muscles recover faster after intense exercise. And there's a lot of studies that back this up, by the way. So the circulation is great. It can help detoxify the body. You can chelate heavy metals if you take a good binder like activated charcoal or chlorella to help bind and get rid of a lot of that toxicity. And it's great for muscle relaxation. So a lot of the time when I'm in the sauna, I will utilize that 25, 30 minutes to stretch while I'm in there as well. Then let's go to the cold plunge. I like to start with the sauna and then immediately go to the cold plunge. I'd usually like do 15 to 20 minutes sauna, 2 to 3 minutes cold plunge, and repeat that like 3 times. But when you're in the cold water, typically, around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, or let's say 10 degrees Celsius, it leads to vasoconstriction, which is narrowing of the blood vessels, and it reduces inflammation. And studies show that cold immersion helps with delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS, that you get from working out, which obviously reduces that inflammation after physical or intense physical exercise. So it can help, reduce the muscle soreness, speed up recovery, help with reducing inflammation. And, one of the major benefits that I like from it is the emotional stability and blood sugar stability. So if you wear a CGM, a blood glucose monitor, get in the ice bath in the morning. Now, providing all other aspects are correct and exact, do that the following day, but without the, I mean, follow, measure your blood glucose throughout the day, eat the same foods, do the same exercise, but do it without the ice bath, and you will see that your blood sugar levels are much more stable throughout the day, especially when you're having carb heavy meals, if you've had the ice bath. So there are studies that show that it can help with the mobilization of fatty acids. So, there's a lot of benefits to that. So let's talk about benefits of sauna and cold plunge, specifically for recovery. So with the sauna, you increase your circulation. So the heat from the sauna opens up the blood vessels, promoting better circulation and oxygen delivery to the muscles. And it helps relax and improve the flexibility by increasing blood flow to the joints, to the muscles, and obviously to the connective tissue. And then you got the detoxification. When you're sweating in a sauna, you expel toxins, you expel metabolic waste, aiding in recovery and reducing muscle stiffness. And then when you go to the cold plunge, you're reducing the inflammation, constricting the blood vessels, which is great for muscle recovery and obviously reducing a lot of the DOMS that you get. But you can also get a lot of mental clarity and stress reduction because cold water immersion stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. So it'll tone your vagal nerve, which improves mental toughness and focus and resilience, but stability, mental stability as well. So you've always heard me say, well, be harder to kill. I tell you what, doing the ice baths every morning at like 5 a.m., you feel harder to kill for the rest of the day. So I'll tell you that the protocol that a lot of people follow for the sauna, begin with like 15 minutes in the sauna, or 10 minutes during your first few sessions. This gives your body time to acclimate to the heat and help prevent overheating or discomfort. Now, if you're in a traditional sauna, of course, it's going to be a lot hotter. If you're in an infrared, which is like what I've got a clear light infrared sauna because of very, very low EMF. You can go in there much longer. Doesn't mean it's easy, it's easier, but it doesn't mean it's less effective. It actually just warms you up from the inside out. So the extremities on the outside isn't as harsh. So, gradually increase as your body becomes accustomed to the heat stress. And then you can gradually increase your time in a sauna to like 30 minutes per session. The general recommendation is do not exceed 30 minutes, though, to avoid overexposure to high heat, which can lead to dehydration and excessive strain on the body. So now it's not hormetic. From an acute standpoint, it's hormetic, it's more systemic stress. You want the hormetic stressor. So prolonged sauna sessions stimulate the blood circulation and promotes muscle relaxation, triggers vasodilation, increases blood flow to the muscles, to the brain, flushes out the waste. And studies show that regular sauna can increase the heart rate similar to moderate exercise. With the help of, removal of toxins that supports cardiovascular health. And then with the ice bath, I usually like to go for 2 to 3 minutes, but we'll talk a little bit more about that after. And the maximum benefits for sauna is try to do like 4 sessions a week. I'll personally do 5 or 6, but this frequency allows the body to reap the health benefits for improved circulation, detoxification, muscle relaxation, etc., without causing excessive strain on the body. So I like to measure my HRV, my heart rate variability. If it shows that it's starting to tank a little, maybe I'm overstressed, overworked, lacking sleep, then I'll bring my sauna frequency back a little bit to maybe 3 times a week until it's stabilized. So the consistent use, not overuse, is the key to improving your cardiovascular health, promoting muscle relaxation, and speeding your recovery process. And this does so as well by helps increasing heat shock proteins, which plays a particular role in protecting the cells from stress and accelerating your recovery. Okay, so you want to decrease your all-cause mortality. Some studies have shown that it can decrease all-cause mortality by around 40%. So you don't want to die, do sauna as long as you're doing it correctly. Let me just hydrate, because I'm going to talk about hydrating in the next piece here. It's hot out here. So you want to make sure that you hydrate well before and after the sauna session. So as soon as I wake up, because I usually get in the sauna not long after waking, I drink my ElectroShred. So ElectroShred is my hydration formula. It's got a full clinical dose of electrolytes in there. So I'm drinking fluid and I'm making sure that I'm getting plenty of electrolytes as well before this sauna session, because the heat exposure increases sweating, leads to the loss of essential electrolytes like your sodium, potassium, magnesium, and this can cause dehydration, muscle cramps, mental and physical fatigue if not addressed. So proper hydration helps maintain, obviously, your electrolyte balance, your circulation, prevents the negative effects of dehydration, such as your dizziness, such as your overheating, you know? So, I like to have electrolytes all the time throughout the day, but particularly as soon as I've woken up, because I know that I've lost a lot of fluid throughout the night. Okay, so you can cool down slowly after exiting the sauna, but I like to go straight into the ice bath, as I've mentioned before. And note on supplementation as well, you may want to consider taking extra magnesium on top of the electrolyte supplementation. So I like to take Mag Breakthrough from Bioptimizers. If you guys want any links to the ElectroShred or the Bioptimizers Mag Breakthrough, for instance, you can just look below. I'll put the link in there in the show notes and give you guys a discount code. But using the sauna after your workout, for instance, can really help you relax the muscles and speed up the recovery process, which I really like to do. But a lot of the time, due to convenience or inconvenience, I like to get up and make sure that I have my ice bath before the workout. But I always like to do the ice bath after the sauna, so that's kind of how I like to work. So when it comes to the cold plunge, I've got a Morozko Forge and it goes extremely cold. But any ice bath will work. Begin with like 1 minute, and then you can work your way up to 3 minutes. See how that feels. Just let your body gradually adapt to the intense cold exposure without overstressing your nervous system, much like how I explained to you with the heat, with the sauna. So short, controlled exposure to the cold water triggers vasoconstriction, which is the narrowing of the blood vessels, which helps reduce the inflammation and muscle soreness by decreasing the blood flow in the muscles. But once you leave the cold water, your body then warms back up and the blood rushes to those extremities and helps with circulation, which then helps speed up recovery, because the better blood flow that is carrying oxygen and nutrients to the muscles is much better. And studies have shown that cold water immersion significantly reduces delayed onset muscle soreness. So when I was preparing for all my Ironman events, for my ultra marathon, as soon as I'd finish my run, as soon as I'd finish, my cycle or anything like that, I would just get in the ice bath, and it really, really helped with my recovery for the following day. Sometimes I was doing my run in the morning and I was doing a bike in the evening, and I just felt so much more recovered for the evening session, so give that a go. And obviously it works in the bodybuilding and sports performance circles too. Now for the cold plunge, like I said, about 50 degrees. I go a little bit colder than that, but I'm a little bit hardcore. But you don't want to overwhelm the body. Just allow your body to benefit from the anti-inflammatory effects without minimizing the risk of hypothermia or excessive shock, And if you're new to cold plunging, start with a higher end of this range, maybe about 60 degrees, which is 15 Celsius. And gradually work your way to lower temperatures as your tolerance builds. Now, when you do go into the ice bath, I do recommend that you try to relax your muscles, because people usually hyperventilate, which you probably will for the first 30 seconds, but relax your muscles, just chill. If you're outside, listen to the birds, the wind, whatever, just lose yourself in the moment. I like to take a deep breath in, hold the breath for about 2 seconds, exhale slowly, hold the breath for 2 seconds, and then back in, just nice and slow. Now, for the first 30 seconds, like I said, you may not be able to control that, but still focus on it, and eventually you'll relax and you'll get into that zone. So, research does support the idea that regular cold water can reduce the muscle soreness and help with emotional stability, helps with the mobilization of fatty acids, So I do suggest that you do it, but make sure that you do submerge your chest in the water, okay? Because a lot of people, they'll go to the bottom of their pecs or whatnot, and they won't go any further. That is the sweet spot, so make sure you go all the way in, submerge your vagal nerve, your legs, your torso, absolutely everything. But just as with sauna use, hydration is critical before and after cold plunge, because cold exposure can lead to a fluid shift in the body. So staying hydrated ensures that your body maintains that homeostasis and avoids dehydration. Okay. And to enhance the recovery, consider like contrast therapy. Like I said, go sauna, ice, and maybe repeat that 3 times. So I was at Jungle Gym and I've been doing that with the owner there, Katie. I've done it with Ali, the 2 owners there, and obviously my wife. And that's what we'll do. We'll do 20 minutes, 3 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 minutes. So it's a little over, it's like hour and 9 minutes, But it's something that is phenomenal. It isn't just a trend. It actually has a lot of valid research on why you should do it. And, my HRV is better because of it. My sleep is better because of it. But I don't do the sauna before bed. It doesn't affect some people, but it affects others. And I've noticed the longer that females stay in like the sauna or the cold I'm generalizing, it doesn't affect them in a productive manner. So I usually suggest females do slightly lesser time than males. You've got to think about your hormones, you've got to think about your thyroid. There's other issues and complications that you can have, if there's too many stressors. Much like fasting. I don't have my female clients fasting as long as my male clients, but it should be used in moderation, especially to begin with. Again, you don't want to go through dehydration or too much of a stressor, because exercise is a stressor. If you're not getting enough sleep, there's a stressor. If you've got stress in your life, there's another stressor. And if you are not recovering from your lifestyle and your workout routines adequately, because you're not getting enough sleep, your nutrients are lacking, your hydration is lacking, this could potentially cause a problem, okay? But if I was to say everything is perfect, I'd suggest you do the ice bath before workout and then do the sauna after. But I understand it can be inconvenient, so just do it whenever you can, but don't do the ice bath after a workout, because that will blunt the hormetic response, that inflammatory response that you want from the body that says, hey, I am inflamed. And that is a signal to say, I am going to recover, I'm going to grow back stronger, I'm going to be faster, I'm going to perform better from the next workout. So do not blunt that hormetic response, okay? But if it's, you're trying to build muscle, for instance, but if you're doing Ironmans, if you're doing, more cardiovascular performing workouts, then ice is absolutely fine. Just don't overdo it. That's all, But these are powerful tools to improve your recovery, your performance, reduce muscle soreness, better for emotional stability. There's so many benefits from it, increasing your heat shock proteins, allowing growth hormone production, better release, and testosterone production in particular from the ice bath, But you've got to make sure that you are having adequate nutrition, sleep, consistent training, you're managing your stress. So listen to your body and adjust your routine as needed to achieve the optimal results from contrast therapy. I've been doing it consistently. Like when I'm at home, I'll do it 5 times a week, at least, since 2014. I was doing it before that, maybe 3 times a week, because I had like a cattle trough at home. So of course, buying the ice was a pain in the ass and all that sort of stuff. And I'd go and doing sauna at like the gym or something. So you're just not as consistent. But now I've got that set up at home, I've been very, very consistent, and it's really, really helped me. As you know, if you've been following me, My biological age is 26 years old from the last test that I did, even though my chronological age is 50. I'll be 51 this year, but I've been able to reduce my biological age every year since 2014. And of course, it's probably a shotgun approach, but I believe these are two contributors to that. So thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to share this with someone, please do. If you like this podcast, please do leave a review. Go to Spotify, go to wherever you are listening to this, and please leave a review, because that's what helps get the message out there. It gets shared, it keeps the lights on, and I'd be very, very appreciative of it. Thank you ever so much for listening. Until next time, this is Chris Gethin, and we are out.